night, everyone, and welcome to Sanctuary's Half Hour. My name is Gabrielle Blackett, and tonight, the teens arm of Halal Dance Ministry will be presenting on my dance ministry and me. All right. So to join us, we have Amaris and Juan Yearwood, as well as Nyema and Eslyn Taylor. All right. So that's a mother-daughter duo that we have going on tonight. All right. So I'm actually very excited for this because it's actually very special because I remember once upon a time I used to be in the teens ministry and I watched Nyema and Amaris in the children's ministry growing up. I basically grew up with them. And it is very, very special to me now that I get the opportunity to lead them in the ministry. And it's all about continuing, the legacy that has been set out for us. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Amaris and Joanne and Nyema and Eslyn. We're going to get into it with our first questions of the night. This is going to have a question and answer approach, just nice and easy. All right. So the first question that we have is for Amaris, which is, what does dance mean to you and why do you dance? As I said earlier, we we grew up together basically. You and the children, I and the teens, we basically grew up together. But after all these years, why do you dance? What does it mean to you?
Good night, everyone. To me, dancing is a stress reliever. Is relaxing. Is just me being me. And throughout the years, as Gabby said, since three, it has always been a way for me to have excitement, to be jumpy, just do what I want to do. So yeah, that's what dance is to me.
Go ahead, Naima.
Um, Dance is a way for me to express what I'm feeling when I listen to a song, and I dance because I really like to do it, and it's fun and enjoyable.
I feel that me personally, I also started dancing at a very young age. Just like Amaris said, she started at 3. I started a little later than that, but still very young. And dance genuinely is a stress reliever. That is one of the consistents in my life. It is dance. It is when I'm sad, I dance. When I'm happy, I dance. I'm into eat. I dance. If the food good, I gonna be doing a little jig. So I understand what it means to find peace and solace in dance. The next question is, what made you stay within the ministry? I mean, you started at a young age at 3, so I can't necessarily say what made you decide to join, but what made you stay within the ministry, and how has it affected you spiritually? How have you grown spiritually over the years in dance?
For me, it's the people within the group is what made me stay within Halal. The teens, all of us grew up together, all of us. So it was just friends coming, worship. On a spiritual level, though, with the Bible studies, the dance interpretations, the Bible verses interpretations, all of those helped me to open my eyes, to seek guidance from God in terms of friendship wise, decision making, was the right thing, was the wrong thing to do. So all of those came from either me being at home doing my own stuff in terms of prayer and fasting, or me being down at the church, dancing, worshiping, praying with others. All of those lead me to seek guidance from God to build a better relationship with God.
I agree with Ami when she said the people make you stay. Um, I think they bring a lot to dancing. You have other people around you, so it makes you want to come and enjoy. Um, Spiritually, I have gotten closer to God. I have started reading the Bible more, praying. um, and understand God. It really made me feel the understanding. It makes God really understands, because some people say that they don't understand God, but to me, when I think about God, it just makes sense.
Yes, I agree. I agree, Naima. One thing I will say as well is, as long as I have been in halal, I started with the children, went to the teens, and eventually came back. I had a brief sabbatical, but I came back. And what I can say is that it does relate. It's not just about dancing. It's not just about, lifting your hand, shaking your foot. It is very much dependent upon the understanding of not what just your dancing, but the scripture verses behind it. And I find that in order to be effective in your ministry, then what you have to do is really tap in and understand the meaning behind the words of the song. I mean, you can get a song that says, "How great is our God," but I mean, until you really understand for yourself how great God is, you can never understand. And I mean, the people watching can really see when you connect with a song from when you don't connect with a song, or even if you just don't care about it. And I always say that, when you step in to ministry, then you really move from a place of just doing it because it's something that you love to do, but you're doing it because it can reach other people. And that's the reason why I stayed in halal all those years, because yes, I love to dance and it was a stress reliever for me. But there is something about getting on stage and being able to have that, really hone into that one-on-one connection between you and God. And is even more different than even in rehearsals. Because yeah, you rehearse, but there's nothing like the day that you actually get on the stage to minister. Like, you
That's
really
true.
go through all those process, and it starts to feel kind of mechanical, like you're doing it over and over and over and over again, and it's easy to get lost in all of that. But when you get on the stage, you realize it's much larger than you, and it's larger than just doing it because you like it. And that for me is something that really made me stay. The feeling of being on the stage and being able to touch people without having to touch them, ministering to people, it is one of the highlights of being in the ministry for me. And that moves us into, because we just spoke about choreography and how we grow spiritually. But how do you individually prepare for ministry?
For me, first of all, practice. Practice. That's the gist. But personally, I like music. So if I doing homework or if I just doing nothing, I just play the music over and over, try to get a better understanding the lyrics, and then or just listen to it for listening's sake. Also to pray. Just pray about it, pray against backlash. Just pray that it will go smoothly and that you will minister to somebody outside in the congregation.
I prepare for ministry by usually listening to song, going over the dance moves, um, just trying to remember anything I forgot.
Understandable, Naima, and that's probably one of the most nerve-wracking parts of being in, especially dance ministry. You
Yep.
always have the part of, I can forget. You're so afraid, you're caught up mentally with, I don't want to forget, I don't want to forget. I've had those moments. I remember years and years and years ago. I was young. I was probably like 10, 11-ish. And this is Batman Sanctuary used to have their harvest. I don't know if y'all remember that, but they used to do harvest,
Yeah.
and we were dancing to Lord of the Harvest, and I had a solo, and I was so excited for this solo. And I got on the stage and I forgot my solo and I froze. I stared at everyone like I did not know what to do. And guys, I always told after that, like, I'm never ever forgetting choreography again. So anytime I have to learn choreography, I used to be like drilling it in my head, drilling it in my head, drilling it in my head. But I also find that that's kind of counteractive because like you think about it so hard that you actually do end up forgetting when you get on the stage. It's like you study it so
True.
hard, you're kind of like anticipating it, and that makes you forget like a different section that you would have been doing at that point in time. But yes, preparing for ministry is one of the most important things. You have to get yourself in a mind frame of going out there and doing the work of the Lord. You can't go there for a worship set, and you aren't tuned in, or your spirit is not right. You are not right with God. You understand? And that's why I'm really glad to hear y'all say that you pray, you read your Bible, you go over the choreography. And the choreography is just a small part of it, honestly, because once you step into what you have to do and you align yourself with God, then I mean, He takes care of the rest. But that's really good to hear. I mean, I know I go through devotions with you all, and I speak to you about the meaning of the song. I know also sometimes when we do choreographies, I ask you all, what does this song say to you? What does it mean to you? But it's really good to hear and see that that's not just an in-house thing. Like y'all go home and it resonates with you. That's really good to see, guys. Um, so my dance ministry and me. We spoke about the dance ministry. Now let's get to the me. I know y'all are teens, y'all have active social lives, y'all go to school, y'all have other extracurriculars. Dance is not the only thing that you do. So, Amy, I'm going to start with you first. I'd like to hear some of the extracurricular activities that you do as well, and how you balance that in addition to school, in addition to friends, and like just your outside of dance, your spiritual growth. I would like to hear about that.
Okay, so my extracurricular activity is swimming, and it's a struggle to balance everything. It's a struggle because school is just too much, and then CSCs, that's a whole other level. But to juggle all of it is a struggle. You have to be very, very committed to get all of these things done and to try your hardest in each and every activity. Spiritually, I use what I do at home. I try not to let people get my mind, change what I know is right, what is true. I do what I know is right, and I just try not to follow the back row.
My after curricular activity is track. I never really had a problem with balancing because I never used to have like exams, but now I have exams. I had to take a little break from dance, but after exams, I hope to get back to dance. Spiritually, uh, just like Ami said, just don't follow the wrong crowd. Do what you know is right, and talk to God if you have any confusion.
Yeah, for me, actually, I think y'all have it a little rougher than I did. A little more rough because my only extracurricular was dance. I mean, I wasn't just dancing with Halal. I was also involved at a dance school, Pearls Dance Academy, and I remember like I used to be dancing every single day. Like I used to leave school, catch a bus to go down to Pearls to teach a toddler's class, and then still had my classes I had to take afterwards. And to do that, I was doing that with fifth form, fourth form, fifth form, sixth form as well. And even for me, that was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, that was a struggle having to find the balance between, okay, this is my passion, and I go to school 5 days a week, but school does not just end on Friday. I still have to study, and I dance 5 days a week, 6 days a week. I also have to prepare for those because we also do exams within the dance school. So I still have to give like 100% there as well. And then I still was doing halal, and I have to give 100% there as well because you really want to make sure that nothing is neglected. And especially because academics are so important, you didn't want it to be, oh, I'm throwing myself into dance and I'm neglecting my schoolwork, because very quickly, your parents gonna say, well, if you dance is a distraction, let's scale back on that a little bit. Like, we're not gonna take you out completely, but let's scale back on that a little bit so you can focus on your academics. And I never wanted that to happen. As we spoke about earlier, dance is a stress reliever. And I found, for me, one of the ways that I managed to stay so calm during exam period was dance. Like, I mean, dance was stressing me too, because it's not easy, but it was some way that I could get rid of the stress of the day or the week. And I I'm really glad to see, because Naima even said that she had to take a little bit of a break because of her extracurricular activity, and that's understandable. Sometimes things get in the way. We have exams, we have school on a whole, we have our other extracurricular activities. But what's important, and something that I realized, even though Naima has been on break, is that her spiritual growth has not been stunted. So just because she's not within halal doesn't mean that it stops there. And I think that's very good, Naima, that your spiritual growth continues outside of halal. I would also like to talk to the parents, because we've had Eslyn and Joanne sitting here very nicely listening to their daughters, but they are very much involved in the ministry as well. Joanne, we call them dance moms. They're very much involved. Y'all taking y'all children's back and forth, and we just asked the teens how they balance their lifestyles and dance, but how do you balance not only your lifestyles but theirs as well?
Well, for me, it's all about time management. Once I know what she has in terms of rehearsals and what music dates she has, I already program myself. I'm going to make myself available, and I will make sure that she gets to where she needs to be at that point in time. So it's just about time management.
Yes, as Joanne said, yes, time management does play a role in it. I can say my husband is the dance mom. Let me really drop off and they pick up, because I'm usually sometimes at work on Saturdays. So as a dancer myself, sometimes, on Thursday I have to balance as well. So for her, you try to ensure that she gets, even though she's doing her extracurricular activity, she still have time to ensure that she's still feeding, that God in her.
Yeah.
So the dancing was like a way of her to get that, because then she will interact with her peers, she will interact with Bible study, just to balance it all out, as you say, but just try to encourage her that you still need to do the dancing because you made a commitment to that. So just trying to them to ensure that they have made a commitment and how they can follow through on that. So it's just a balancing, as we all have to balance.
I like that word, Eslyn, commitment and balance. Something my mother always said to me is, when you say yes to something, know what you're saying no to. And I never understood what it meant until I went through a period where I was preparing for shows. I had school, I was still doing halal, pearls, and I was so tired. I wanted to sleep so badly. But I had a rehearsal, and my mother was like, when you say yes to something, know what you're saying no to. You've made a commitment. It ain't no going home and sleep. We have to go to the rehearsal. And I think that is something now more than ever, that especially you two, Ami and Naima, that y'all could use as well, because as teens, well, not we, because I'm not a teen anymore, but as teens, you like to have that active social life. You like to do all these other things. You see your friends going out, and you can't because you have dance, you have exams, you have other extracurriculars, swimming, track. How does that, guys, make you feel? Do you ever struggle with the fear of missing out, basically?
No, I, to be honest, I antisocial. I don't really hang like that. So it don't really bother me if I miss it. No, I will catch up some other time.
Sometimes you just want to go someplace, but then you have to stay home and do this. So sometimes he is really want to go, but gosh, stay.
I understand that. I much like Amaris, very much like to stay home. So I never really struggled with the fear of missing out, but I also did feel at some point that dance consumed so much of my life that I felt like I could no longer relate to my peers because as my peers were going out and obviously they had all these experiences, I was like, you know what? I'm at dance class. I can't do that. I can't speak on this because um I'm as Naima said, sometimes you just have to stay home. And something I find that helps with that is looking at the bigger picture. So again, as I said earlier, it's not just about us, it's about something bigger. It's about reaching the masses and ministering to those who God has set out in front of us to minister to. And back at the parents. So Ami started at a very young age, Naima as well. Did they choose the dance? Did they come to you and say they want to dance, or did you choose the dance? And if you did, why?
Actually, I chose dance for her because at that time, being I think she was like 3, 4, I was trying to determine what would be a good fit for her, what she'd be interested in, what she would be good at. So I actually signed her up with a dance. And this girl cried every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning, this girl would cry until eventually I stopped taking her. And then I recall Auntie Julie, this would be Julie Green. She said to me that I should bring her to dance on Saturday evenings. So I took her to Saturday and she didn't cry. And I was like, I was thinking it's probably because she was familiar in her surroundings being at church. She knew the other dancers, the other girls. And I was like, okay. And that was the beginning of her and Halal. And from then it just blossomed.
I guess for me, it was like Joanne, I chose, and that was because like her other sister Rihanna was already in dancing, so it's kind of like a natural progression, kind of like your sister's doing dancing, so you're gonna do dancing too. Um, just to get them active, get them doing something, and trying to really get them into the habit of doing something for like church and just to have that. And I always love, like when you hear about moms and their daughters, you hear they're taking them to ballet and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I want my daughter to go to dance. I never got to do it, so it was like, go ahead. And plus two, she was always this little graceful little child. So he was like, yeah, that would be her fit. Um, and she was there and ended up being a little track star too. So, it kind of helps. But I could say for me, I'm probably the one who like pushed her into that, into dancing, because I think it's something that all girls should learn to do per se. Boys can do it too, but it's a more progression for girls. It's something that they would need. And it was just for her to like meet friends because she was like kind of like antisocial too. So you wanted her to get out there, meet people, and interact with others. It takes a while, even up to now, to warm up. So, so that was a way to get her into, communicating with more girls and interacting. So that was me.
My mom actually chose dance for me too. I I think I was at Amaris too, where I started out at school, and I used to cry all the time, all the time, all the time. I was crying, crying, crying. Even when we ended up at Halal, I was still crying all the time. And my mother kind of had like Eslyn, get you involved in the church, and she was like, "Well, dancing. It seems like a natural fit." And I don't think she knew what she started. Right? Man, because as Joanne would have said, it just blossomed from there. And from there, it wasn't for me just about, doing it in the church and doing it once a week. I wanted to do it more. And that's how I ended up going to like dance schools and all of that. Because once you get the start, and I'm sure Amrita and Naima could attest to this, once you start, it's kind of hard to pull away because you get a lot out of it. You get, yes, you're doing ministry for God, but you meet friends, you get people that are building a foundation with you in their own spiritual lives as well. So you have those people that you can lean on, that you can depend upon, and you have people that you kind of can relate to. You're with people your own age doing the things that you like to do, and you kind of feel like you belong. You kind of have a home. I find that that's what I found with Halal. To this day, I still have a home within Halal, even on the exec. No, even though uh, I'm with people that would have taught me, Auntie Rianne, Auntie Lena, I still you still feel that hominess. And even though I'm not dancing as much anymore with Halal, I'm teaching. I still find that it is just as fulfilling because you're molding the minds and of the teens, and you're showing them that how much more there is to dance, because sometimes people could literally just see dance as moving your body, but it's so much more than that. You get a lot out of it, and you have experiences with the ministry pieces. Every piece is not the same, every piece is different. You get something out of every single piece. Yes, you give, but you get as well. So Ami, I want you to think back. What is your favorite ministry piece that you would have done with Halal?
Oh. Probably, I think it was the Bishop 50th. Grateful People. That was probably one of them. And I can't remember the lady's name, but she used to come to practice, give us technique. Whew. And I can't remember the song either. But hey, it was those two dances.
I think my favorite is Ready by Samuel.
You
Okay, so yes, Ami, grateful people, grateful praise.
Right.
I Yes, I remember that. Love that. I think you might be talking about Auntie Shama because she used to
Right.
come.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
Auntie Shama. She
Yeah.
used to come. She was one of the people that was very in integral in the beginning stages of not only you but myself as well, because she would have taught us as well. And my favorite piece that I would have done with Halal is Grateful People is actually up there. It's up there. I just thought it was so fun. The garments that we had
Yes.
on was really nice, and that was not just with us. That was a piece that we did with the older and younger ones as well. That was a mixed group, and I thought that was really cool because you're kind of aware that there are other arms of halal, but you don't necessarily get to dance with them. And I think that was one of the first times that everybody would have been dancing together on stage. So that's for me, that's why it's one of my favorites. But one of my absolute favorites is Clap Shout. We did that a good couple of years ago. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Auntie Val would have spearheaded that one for us. And that was one of my absolute favorite pieces. The energy was just so high. And I remember too as well, the entire sanctuary was like up and dancing with us. And just feeling all of that energy surround you. It was such a nice experience for me. And it always stuck out to me in my head. So yes, that for me would definitely be one of my favorites. But thank you, thank you, thank you, girls. It's been so nice talking to all of you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here. And I also want to thank you for opening up your hearts as well and speaking tonight. I know it's a little nerve wracking, isn't it? But I thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Any last words from y'all?
Uh,
No.
No? All right, that's fine. And thank you to all those watching. I hope you enjoyed our little segment as we came to you from Halal Dance Ministry, the Teens Arm. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.